herself in book form.
Always carry plenty of bits. The Griffins are sure to help you as long as you share the wealth.
Can I borrow some bits?
Upon arriving at Griffin Gorge, be sure to pause and cast your eyes northerly, up the Hyperborean Mountains, taking in the breathtaking beauty of Griffinstone. Once in Griffinstone proper, go immediately to the palace and introduce yourself to the king. Bygone Griffins of Greatness was written a long time ago, and it ends with the coronation of the 14th King of the Griffins, King Guto. I have no idea who's in charge now. Tell the king you've been sent by the Princess of Friendship, and you're there to help with some sort of problem. If for some reason the king can't help, I'd try the Griffinstone Library next.
Attachment to organic life. Number 3. Central conflict. Most effective stories have a simple, easy-to-understand main goal. This is the core of the story, the frame that everything else hangs on. It often takes the form of "we must stop blank." This is not because audiences are stupid, it's because when you're designing anything, even a story, you should avoid needless complexity. Here are some examples. These are effective stories with simple goals that the audience can understand. In Mass Effect, we have this too. We must stop the Reapers from killing us all. This conflict is introduced in the very first mission of the very first game. We're visiting the idyllic colony of Eden Prime, and suddenly we see this.
Everything cuts out after that. No comm traffic at all. Just goes dead. There's nothing.
Reverse and hold at 38.5.
We don't know what this thing is yet, but it's certainly big and dangerous
17
looking.
minutes out, Cap.
Later, we visit the colony itself and learn that the giant squid-looking thing was full of geth, and that they've been impaling people on spikes and turning them into robot zombies. So yeah, this thing is definitely evil. We eventually learn that it's a Reaper, and only one of many. Every 50,000 years, the Reapers wipe out almost every civilization in the galaxy. Later on, we talk to one of the Reapers, named Sovereign.
Rudimentary creatures of blood and flesh. You touch my mind, fumbling in ignorance, incapable of understanding.
I don't think this is a VI.
There is a realm of existence so far beyond your own, you cannot even imagine it. I am beyond your comprehension. I am sovereign.
Yeesh. Even just talking to a hologram of one of these things is intimidating. Shepard's usually good at negotiation and persuasion, but Sovereign's not one bit interested in that. Him and his friends are going to wipe us all out, and they won't even do us the courtesy of telling us why. The Reapers are an alien, inscrutable, frightening, and effective villain. Notice that they're not a complex villain. They have no detailed motivation, or at least not one they're willing to share with us. They don't need one. The Emperor in Star Wars didn't have a complex motivation. He was just a wrinkly old evil dude that wanted more power and stuff than he already had. If we have to wonder why the Reapers did what they did, I just assumed it was simple self-interest. By harvesting, the Reapers gather technological and cultural resources, become more numerous and powerful, and eliminate a potential threat. In Kansas they farm corn, in Idaho they farm potatoes, and in Reaperville they farm civilizations. They don't need a complex motivation because the story is not about them. Star Wars wasn't about the Emperor, it was about Luke, Han, and Leia. And Mass Effect is about Commander Shepard, his or her friends, and Blasto. These are the people we experience the story through. These are the people we spend 95% of our time with. These are the people that the writers invest game time, nuance, and character development into, not the Reapers. And then we come to the ending. Damn it, not you again. Alright, let's just get this over with. What's that? The main goal of Stop the Reapers that I've been working towards this whole time is just a red herring? My new goal is resolve the metaphysical tension between organic and synthetic life? You're going to introduce a new main goal in the very last scene of the trilogy? How are you possibly going to pull this off? You have how many lines of dialogue? Let's turn subtitles on and count. 14. Your plan is to introduce and then resolve an entirely new central conflict, which supersedes the old one in importance and complexity, over the course of 14 lines of dialogue with a character we've never met before. I used to be irritated that they were replacing the primary antagonist of the Mass Effect series in the final scene of the game. But this kid isn't, strictly speaking, an antagonist. The truth is actually worse. They've arguably replaced the protagonist of the series in the final scene of the game. Shepard has nothing to do in this scene. There are no dialogue options that matter, and the ending choice is meaningless since we don't have any way to know what the consequences of it are. All of the forward dramatic motion here is provided by the hologram kid, not Shepard. We don't even get to stop the Reapers under our own steam. Instead, Hologram Kid lets us do it, practically as an act of charity. Any sense of control, agency, or accomplishment is gone, and our only choice boils down to which color-coded cutscene do you want. Let's go back to Star Trek for the gazillionth time. One storyline in The Next Generation had the Enterprise crew trying to stop the Borg. The Borg were a terrifying, implacable enemy that was probably one of the inspirations for the Reapers. Remember the climax of the Borg attack at Wolf 359? When Q showed up, snapped his fingers, and made them all disappear, saving the day? No, you don't, because that never happened, because that would be lame. Star Trek's writers understood that a character that could do anything he wanted by snapping his fingers had to be handled with care or he would screw up the entire show. That's why Q episodes were generally self-contained side stories. It's Star Trek The Next Generation, not Q The Next Generation, or The Fresh Q of Bel Air, or Q and a Half Men, or Lost, but with Q, or Keeping Up with the Q-Dashians, or Q. To save time, here's a list of all of my high-concept show reboot ideas featuring Q. If you're a TV producer and you're watching this, I'm willing to do script treatments for any or all of these ideas. My point is that the heroes of Star Trek are the Enterprise crew, not Q, and the heroes of Mass Effect should be Commander Shepard and Blasto, not the Catalyst. Not even if it's a renegade femme catalyst that romanced Garrus. Number whatever, we're not even close to done yet. We've covered how the ending of Mass Effect 3 abandons the qualities that made the rest of the trilogy so good: genre, character focus, and central conflict. What is the net effect of all these problems? Can we just ignore or argue against each one individually, and therefore defend the ending or convince ourselves that the ending is okay? No. The fact is that I haven't even covered the worst problem yet, as unbelievable as that may be. The worst problem is the mutant offspring of the other three problems. It is the loss of narrative coherence. In any story, it doesn't matter what genre, the audience is expecting the storyteller to abide by certain implicit rules. These are things like internal consistency, chronology, and cause and effect. All these things add up to narrative coherence. You can't play with them too much. You have to exercise restraint and have some respect for the implicit agreements that exist between you and your audience. Here's one example. During the Rannoch mission, Legion had to sacrifice himself for some reason. He had to dissolve his consciousness into the Geth consensus or something. I admit I didn't entirely understand what was going on or why he had to do that, but I went with it because everything else was so good. I can overlook a certain amount of confusion if it's in service of a good dramatic moment. Here's another example. Throughout the game, the construction of the Crucible seemed very vulnerable to me. It's a major project involving the cooperation and resources of several different species, and it doesn't look particularly mobile. The Reapers must have known about it. They have indoctrinated spies everywhere. Why didn't they blow it up? I don't know, and the truth is I don't really care. This one issue isn't going to sabotage the entire story. Maybe the Reapers couldn't find it because it was hidden in a nebula or something. Or Hackett kept moving it around and they couldn't catch up. Whatever. But in the final sequence, the quality of the storytelling begins to crumble, first slowly and then faster and faster. The contrivances, confusions, and inconsistencies pile up on top of each other until narrative coherence is completely lost. How did they get the Citadel to Earth? I didn't know it could move. How did they move something so big clear across the galaxy? I don't get what the Crucible was even originally supposed to do. Did the people that first worked on it know that the Citadel Kid was controlling the Reapers? Was building the Crucible how exactly is the beam of light supposed to take me to the Citadel? I've never seen anything like this before. And the helmet. I only see the one route to the control panel. How is the elusiveness control? I appear to be outside the Citadel in space. When I destroy synthetic life, that kill the partly synthetic Glorians? Can I just tell them it's self-destruct? There are a dozen different liquefying a civilization and turning it into a space millennium. If this kid was controlling the Citadel's decision require the destruction of mass sovereign to do any such relays or scuttle all the fleets of Alex and get back home possible mass destroying a mass new half-synthetic Krogan still have each other to destroy these lights. What does it mean in practice? Explain to me and I can see the outcomes of the end. Aliens can't help Garrus get on everyone and deify that down to try to jump really dead. Why does nothing about this make any sense? Hey, what happened to narrative coherence? I can't see it anymore. It was here a minute ago. I remember seeing it in the middle of the screen in big white letters. But now it's gone. It was here for so long that I got used to it. I started to take it for granted. And when it left so suddenly, I didn't realize what happened at first. I thought maybe I didn't like the ending because it was too sad, or because my choices didn't matter, or because I couldn't argue with the hologram kid. Well, those are all valid criticisms, but they're not what makes the ending broken. The ending is broken because it has no narrative coherence, because too many crucial things were abandoned or changed at the last minute. By the time the ending is over, the Mass Effect story is arguably not even a story anymore. Number 38C. What now? So I've just spent like half an hour shitting on BioWare. You might think that I hate Mass Effect. In fact, I love Mass Effect. I'm a pretty big nerd, but not so big that I make long-ass YouTube videos about things I don't even like. I do like Mass Effect. The first two games and 99% of the third were great, but that last 1% is so important and was botched so completely that it's all anyone can talk or think about afterwards. It didn't have to be this way. The developers showed in other sections that they know how to provide satisfying closure to a long-running plotline. Let's look at my personal favorite part of the third game, the Tuchanka part. The entire ending the Genophage storyline was full of technical challenges. For one thing, two of its main characters are Rex and Mordin, and depending on your actions in the first two games, either or both of them could already be dead. You also have to account for whether the player saved Malin's data, destroyed it, or skipped Mordin's loyalty quest altogether. On top of all of this, they introduced new choices, like whether you tell your friends about the offer you got to sabotage the cure, or whether you actually sabotage it. This all happens as you try to resolve a long-running issue that was introduced all the way back in the beginning of the first game. Despite all these challenges, the entire sequence played out beautifully. Tuchanka had it all. You get to spend time with two old friends, and meet a cool new character that suggests an entire new dimension to Krogan culture. You get to explore new locations, and play through exciting action set pieces. You got to see a Thresher mob bite a Reaper right in its stupid, smug face. You could give the Krogan a new future, and Rex the satisfaction of success and hope, or the disappointment of being betrayed and kicked in the quads by someone he thought was his friend. You can give Mordin a chance at redemption and a noble sacrifice, or a tragic and heartbreaking death. Did you seriously shoot Mordin, you asshole? And after all of that, you recruit either the Krogans or Solarians to the war effort, tying the whole Tuchanka storyline back into the game's main goal of stop the Reapers. And they did all of this without once sacrificing good pacing or resorting to contrivance. No matter what permutation of events you see, everything moves along at a quick, satisfying clip, and everything that happens follows logically from the thing that happened before. If you take a look under the hood of this sequence, you can't help but be impressed at how skillfully BioWare pulled off such a difficult task. They showed a complete command of their medium. Now let's compare the Tuchanka part to the ending of the entire game. BioWare made a mistake. It happens. Even very talented people can make mistakes. Most people agree that the final section of Huck Finn is pretty lame, but Huck Finn is still considered to be one of the great works of American literature. And the best thing of all is they can fix it. You know those Star Wars reviews I'm ripping off, where the guy says that the prequel trilogy can never be undone? The Mass Effect 3 ending can be undone, and it should be. For whatever crazy reason, people really care about this. Look at how much time I've spent on this video just so I can bitch to a wider audience. BioWare has an opportunity that almost no one ever gets. The chance for a do-over on something important. And they do have that chance. Bethesda changed the ending to Fallout after a much smaller fan outcry than this one, so it's not as though this is against the rules or something. So obviously, I think the ending should be changed. But nearly everyone has a different opinion on exactly how, which is why I hesitate to give BioWare specific suggestions. Despite everything I've said, I do recognize that this is their story, if in no other sense than the most practical one. Only they have the credibility to make a change that will be accepted as genuine. So I don't know if BioWare wants or needs a list of suggestions. But just in case they do, here they are. Lose the hologram, get the mood right, focus on characters, and keep it simple. Lose the hologram kid. Just remove him. Retcon him out of existence. Don't try to work around him or adjust him so that he works. Any ending with this weird hologram kid in it is tying an anchor around its neck. Almost all of the ending's problems are tied up in this one character, and he was never necessary. There's a fan-made edit of the ending out there that simply cuts him out. It shows Shepard and Anderson side by side, bleeding out on the Citadel, and then skips directly to the destruction ending. And it works. It's not perfect. It's pretty abrupt, obviously, but it works. The lesson to take from this is that just removing this one section solved 95% of your problems, and it can be removed mostly seamlessly. You should be relieved to learn this. You should view it as an opportunity. I know there's a popular theory out there that Shepard was indoctrinated during the final sequence. I don't want to try to argue this theory on its merits. That would take a whole other video to do, and I'm already pushing the limits of my endurance here. All I can tell you is how it smells. It smells like an asshole. I have a hard time believing that even the fattest fat cat at EA would be on board with releasing a game with a fake ending. BioWare, if you really did have this explanation in the can and ready to go, fine. But if not, the easier and more manageable option is just get rid of Hologram Kid. You don't need an elaborate explanation. Just cut him out. You have that power. Get the mood right. Back in the olden days, when dinosaurs still roamed the Earth and the internet backlash about the ending was just starting, many people assumed that the primary objection to it was that it was too dark or too sad. This wrong-headed assumption led to a wrong-headed retort, which is that people are fine with sad, they just wanted the ending to make sense on some kind of basic level. I don't necessarily disagree with this retort, so much as I think it gives credibility to a false choice. People have been confusing dark with profound ever since the first obnoxious 10th graders started writing terrible poetry. Dark is not necessarily good, nor is bright bad, nor vice versa, nor any combination of anything in between. Mass Effect was entertaining because it hit more than one note. Sure, there were dark things about the story. Remember the impaling and the robot zombies? The codex entries that told you that more than 1 million humans were dying every day for most of the third game? The psychological horror of indoctrination? The body horror of being turned into a husk, or worse? But that's not all there was. There was also Drunk Tally, and Elcor Hamlet, and the Garrison Joker Comedy Hour. You had opportunities to build close relationships and do real good. More so than there was light and dark, there was balance, variety, and contrast. The grimness of circumstances was offset by the humor and hope of the personal element. The ending shouldn't be saccharine, but neither should it be depressing. And it's okay to reward the player with a little bit of happiness after they've gone through so much. What we don't need is this. Focus on characters. Remember Lair of the Shadow Broker? It was the most well-received and reviewed of all the DLCs, with great word of mouth. One of the things people liked about it was the dossiers. The Shadow Broker was spying on people and had interesting tidbits of information about them, and you could learn these tidbits by reading through his files. I'll say that again. Reading through his files. The dossiers were nothing but text on a screen, and the fans ate them up. Sometimes I'm not sure BioWare understands the magnitude of what they've done here. They've created a cast of characters that people actually care about. Almost no one ever pulls that off, and when they do, they're sitting on a gold mine. They made 4 Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Why? Because people like Jack Sparrow, and that's just one character. BioWare showed me what Tally was shopping for online, and I was interested. They showed me what comic books Grunt was reading, and I was interested. They showed me how many sit-ups Jacob does every morning, and I was interested. The tools for a cathartic, emotionally satisfying ending are staring you right in the face. Use them. I don't mean show us a slideshow, I mean do something that has a level of craft and soul equal to everything you've been doing so far. Keep it simple. A lot of BioWare's comments on the ending controversy have contained a very unsettling word: clarifying. As in, maybe what the ending needs is clarification. Maybe if we just address some of the confusion seen here, the problem will be solved. No. In politics, if you're explaining, you're losing, and the same thing is true here. The ending doesn't need clarification, it needs a new ending. And this ending should be simple. There's nothing wrong with simple. Simple works for a reason. 5 minutes before the credits is not the time to introduce drastic new developments in the story. Just bring it in for a nice, easy landing. Section 52-3, subsection 4. An excruciatingly detailed, scene-by-scene breakdown of the entire trip.
Excuse me. Sorry to interrupt. You're probably wondering who I am. I'm the holographic projection of an incredibly advanced artificial intelligence. The guy that made the rest of this video is just a robot I control. I made him to solve a problem. You see, game developers will always be destroyed by the angry fan bases they create. This video is my solution to that problem, and now you have to choose one of 3 options. Option 1 is destroy. In this option, you destroy any hope of a satisfying ending to a franchise you invested 8 years of effort into. Choosing this option will also kill everyone in, let's say, Wisconsin. Option 2 is control. In Control, you use a disciplined, top-down PR strategy to ride out the backlash by saying things like the endings are controversial or open to interpretation. In Control, you don't have to change anything about the game, but your next game won't sell as many copies and you'll turn your fans from this fry into this fry. The third and final option is Synthesis. In Synthesis, you take a running leap into a beam of pure energy, sending out a wave of green light that merges all life in the galaxy. And then, after you do that, you scrap the old ending and make a new, better one. The path is open. There is only one way ahead. The choice is yours.